Ella woke to silence. No pings, no buzzing notifications, no glow from her phone screen. The night before, she had made the decision, one day, just one day without the internet. No phone, no laptop, no email, no messages, no maps, no weather updates. She had switched everything off and placed her devices in a drawer. It had felt strangely radical. Now sunlight leaked through her curtains, pale and golden. The city murmured faintly outside. She reached instinctively for her phone, then paused. No, today would be different. She sat up slowly. The world felt quieter, somehow heavier and more real. She brewed a cup of tea, the kettle hissing gently, and stood barefoot by the window as the leaves outside rustled in the breeze. Without the internet, there was no rush. No pressure to check anything. No timelines to scroll. She dressed simply, linen pants, a white shirt, a canvas tote bag slung over one shoulder. In her notebook, she jotted down a simple list. Walk. Market. Read. Sketch. Cook. Watch the sky. It felt like both everything and nothing at once. She left her flat and stepped into the morning air. The street was already alive, bakers opening shutters, delivery bikes humming past, pigeons flapping up from the sidewalk. Without her phone, she noticed details. The way the morning light slanted across cobblestones, the scent of fresh bread curling from a bakery door. She wandered slowly through the neighborhood. Without a podcast in her ears, she heard birdsong, overheard snippets of conversation, the soft thud of feet on pavement. A child laughed behind her. A couple argued gently about directions, holding a paper map. At the corner market, she picked up tomatoes still warm from the sun, a handful of basil, a loaf of rustic bread. She lingered longer than usual, chatting with the vendor about a new variety of plums. The man shared a recipe for plum chutney and pressed a tiny jar into her hands. Just try it with sharp cheese, he said. She stopped at a small park, found a bench in the shade, and pulled out her sketchbook. Without distractions, her hand moved freely. She drew a line of trees, the curve of a cyclist's back, the clouds shifting above. She had forgotten how long she could sit like this. No pressure, no purpose except to see. At noon, she returned home and made lunch. A simple salad of tomatoes and mozzarella, toasted bread and a drizzle of olive oil. She ate slowly by the window, watching the sky shift. Normally, she would scroll while eating. Today she just chewed. She tasted each bite. After lunch, she washed the dishes by hand and let them dry on a towel by the sink. The act felt meditative. The clink of ceramics, the warmth of water, the scent of soap. Her mind wandered, not in anxiety or distraction, but in soft observation. In the early afternoon, she took a walk without a destination. She found a street she had never noticed before, lined with old townhouses and flower boxes spilling over with color. She passed a tailor's shop with faded signage, a vintage record store, a closed-down theater with a hand-painted marquee that read, "See you again soon." She sat on the steps of an empty chapel and listened to the wind rattle the old iron gate. She closed her eyes and just breathed. In a small bookstore tucked between two cafes, she browsed quietly. No reading reviews, no checking prices. She chose a novel at random, an unfamiliar name, a blue cover, and bought it with cash. The woman at the register smiled and said, "That one's a favorite of mine." On the way home, she stopped at a florist's cart and picked out a bundle of wildflowers. "What are these called?" she asked. "Cornflowers, Queen Anne's lace and buttercups," said the vendor. She carried them like a bouquet of softness. By early evening, she curled up on the sofa with tea and read until her eyes grew heavy. No ping interrupted her. No screen pulled her attention away. She stopped occasionally to stare out the window at the changing light, the golden hour stretching long shadows across her wooden floor. As the light faded, she lit a candle. Dinner was pasta with basil and the chutney she'd been gifted, paired with goat cheese and a glass of wine. She ate at the table, listening to the rain that had begun to fall. The smell of wet leaves and warm bread filled the room. Later, she sat at her desk and wrote. Today I did nothing extraordinary, but I felt everything. The world, without filters or feeds, is quieter and slower, but not emptier. It is fuller. It is enough. I remembered how silence sounds, how pages turn, how strangers smile when you meet their eyes. She slipped the journal back onto the shelf and stood by the window, watching the reflections of streetlights shimmer in the puddles. A moth fluttered near the lamp. A car passed slowly through the rain. She didn't reach for her phone, didn't check the time. She went to bed with the city breathing gently around her, and the sense that, just for a little while, she had truly lived inside the day. A day not shared, not captured, not posted, but one that would live quietly in her memory, just as it was.